Hi, my name is Kelly Rogers, and I'm an ERP HCM Principal Consultant with ROI Healthcare Solutions. Some of our implementation projects consist of migrating single-tenant or on-premise customers to multi-tenant. One of the biggest challenges with the migration process is being prepared for critical updates deployed on a monthly basis. This presentation will assist you in analyzing each monthly CU deployment that may overlap with your custom configurations as soon as the release documentation is available, which in most cases is a couple of weeks ahead of deployment. Our agenda for today is to gather the monthly CU release information, and then we are going to extract Infor's talent management user interface Delta documentation for analysis, comparing that to your master configuration list will then allow us to demonstrate the audit process using either Microsoft Excel or Access. So our goal for this presentation is to demonstrate methods to assist customers with keeping their configuration console customizations current with Infor's monthly critical update releases. So our first step is to gather the monthly CU release information, and we're going to demonstrate or show a couple of methods of doing that. The first method is using Infor support portal and performing a search for documentation. So you want to go to your search tab, selecting documentation, then showing all product lines and expanding the Infor HR talent section and the appropriate year, in this case 2022. Looking for the installation guides and release notes subheading, which will then show you the documentation that is available. We want to look for the documentation that has a description, release documents for HR talent, because that document will be a compressed zip file with several Infor provided documents for the release. Once you click on the hyperlink, it will download the compressed zip file into your downloads folder of your local computer. The second method is using the concierge portal and looking for the deployment calendar widget. Once you scroll down to find the cloud maintenance calendar, you'll see there's a hyperlink for the view the associated knowledge base. You can click on that knowledge base article, which will show the release deployment calendar. You want to pick the specific region that you're in this case, United States East, which will open up a knowledge base article for that region. And we want to select our Infor HR talent specific product. And when we click on that, we will then see the various CU releases provided for each month and be able to get to those release notes. You may want to add this knowledge base article as a favorite in order to get to this specific knowledge base directly. Once you're here, you can click on the appropriate CU month, in this case, January 2022. And there are 5 attachments here on this knowledge base article. If you click on the Attachments tab, you'll get to your attachment file section, and we want to download the HR talent release documents, which will be a compressed zip file. So if I click on the download options for HTTP, it will download the compressed zip file again to the downloads folder of my local computer. All right, now that we have our zip file for the monthly CU, we're now going to need to extract out the user interface Delta documentation for our analysis. So initially you want to extract all documents from the primary zip file, HR Talent Release Docs. Within there is another zip file that's titled TM Docs External, and you'll want to extract all documents from there into your working folder. And that's where you'll then see the TM UI Delta PDF document that we're going to want to open in a browser. So we're going to right-click on the PDF document and select Open with an Internet Explorer, or a browser. And in this case, I'm using Microsoft Edge. Once you have it in your browser, you can then perform a select all to gather the text from within the PDF for our analysis. And so you'll do a Control A, and you'll wait a few seconds until you see all of the rows of data highlighted. Then perform your Control C to copy that content. And we're going to paste that content into a text editor. And in this case, I'm using Notepad++. So once you've pasted the text document information into your editor, we're going to want to do a search for a space open bracket in order to extract out all of the specific lists and form names within this CU release. So once I put the find information in, I'm going to click Find All in Current Document, and that will give us the search results we're looking for in order to perform our comparison. If you click into the search results pane, you can then perform a Control A and copy all, and then be able to paste that into Excel. So open up Excel into a blank document, paste the values of the search results into Excel. We're going to want to do some maintenance here to get it in the format we need. So the first row we're going to delete. We don't need that. We'll save the second row to replace it with header values. And then we're going to populate column A with some data, and I just generally use the name of the PDF and copy it down just to have some content in column A. So then we're starting with column B. We're going to separate out using the text to columns wizard and get 3 different columns of data from column B. So the first column B separation will be by colon. So performing the wizard saying it's delimited, we're going to select Other and put in a colon, click Finish. Selecting column C, we're going to perform a similar text to columns wizard. In this case, we're going to separate out the open bracket so that we just get the names for the lists and forms. Click Finish. And finally, the column D, we're going to get our type values, and we want to clean them up by removing the closed bracket. We're going to then add our file headings to row 1, and column C, we need to ensure that we've removed any spaces that might be in that column. So we're going to click on column C, we're going to do a find for the space and replace it with nothing and do a replace all. And you can see here we did 504 replacements of spaces that were in column C. We're now ready to save this document, and we will use this to compare it to our master configuration list. Now we're ready to go into Global HR and extract our most recent master configuration list. And we'll do that by going to our configuration console under the subheading of configuration and master. I've generally filtered this for statuses of active before I extract so that we're not looking at inactive or invalid lists. All right, so we're going to perform our extract to export to CSV, and we can pick either Excel or CSV format, and as long as your configurations do not exceed 5,000 rows, you can then click export. Once you do that, you'll be able to view the master list, and that is our document that we need to compare to and save this as Excel or CSV for a comparison to our UI Delta document. All right, we're ready now for the audit process using either Excel or Access methods. So initially, let's open up our Excel, opening the master configuration list document. Then we're going to want to open the Delta document that we created. And we then want to move the UI Delta spreadsheet into a worksheet into the master configuration list so we can perform our comparisons. Then adding a new column on our master configuration list, we're going to perform a VLOOKUP from the name column in the master configuration list column B to the UI Delta name column, column C, and look for any matches. And when we find a match, those are going to be our overlaps that we need to focus on within our UI Delta PDF document. So we want to save this analysis list, and as you have new monthly CUs, you can extend this list to have a consolidated comparison over time of any master configurations that have changed within the CU. Now looking at our access method, you can open up a blank access database, and we want to import our two documents for analysis, the master configuration and the UI Delta. And then we'll perform a simple query using the query wizard and join it to of the master configuration list, and then join that to the UI Delta table and link the two together by the name fields. So here we are using the external data, selecting from a file from Excel, and we're pulling in our master configuration list and ensuring that the first row contains column headings. And if you're using CSV, make sure you've filtered out the surrounding double quotes. Click Finish. Then do the same thing with the UI Delta list, where the first row contains column headings. Click Finish. Start your simple query wizard. Focused on the master configuration list as your primary, select the fields you want to see in your list. Click Finish. Then you want to be in the design view, and then you can drag and drop your UI Delta document table into this query and perform an internal join between the name fields of both tables. If you look at the join, double click on the line, you can see that it's only going to include rows in the output query when they are the same, when they're equal. So it'll exclude the not applicable. All right, when you run your query, you'll see the comparison, and it will show you the similar output of what forms and/or lists from your master configuration may need to be reviewed with the UI Delta document. And similar to Excel, you can create a consolidated linked list of your master configurations as compared to each of the monthly CUs and see how things have changed over time. Finally, when you're looking at a specific form, for example, LRC full employee profile from your list, you will want to analyze this back to the UI Delta document, which will show the full LPL configuration for the form of what's coming at deployment time. And you can look for things that are highlighted. They'll either be in a red or green box. The red box meaning some code has been cut, and the green box meaning that some code has been added. So in this case, for the January 2022 CU, they've added a new list to the full employee profile form, and that's based on employee contracts. So if your implementation or your current environment is not utilizing employee contracts, then nothing would need to happen before deployment, and you're able to move on to your next overlapping configuration. One point I would, if you do use this, then I would recommend that you then add in your new code in, and you can have this in your development environment in preparation of the deployment, and then be prepared to move that in after the deployment has been implemented. So I would also recommend looking at the Delta document and searching again for the space bracket and just skipping next to see if any of the forms and lists are fully highlighted in green, because that would indicate it's a brand new form or list. And you want to look at those to see if they may have any impact to your employee or manager space, or even something you may want to roll out for administrators, etc. Some of these new forms will automatically be available, so you'll want to ensure that you have the security surrounding those new forms, and that your organization has approved those to be visible to employees and or the manager space. All right, now we're at the demonstration section, and I will walk through the steps we went through on this presentation for both methods. So as you can see on my screen here, I have both downloaded the zip file already, and I have Global HR open, so we're ready to go. So after downloading the documentation for the release notes, I'm going to extract all into my working folder. All right, and then we're going to open the folder that extracted, and you can see the TM docs external. I'm going to extract all from it as well to get to my UI Delta document. And then opening the external folder, I can now see my UI Delta document that I'm going to open with Microsoft Edge. So now that I have that in my browser, I'm going to perform a Control A. I'm going to wait a few seconds till it highlights in the text of that document. Now that it's highlighted, I'm going to do the Control C. And then I'm going to open a blank Note++, and I'm going to Control V, paste the text values of that document in here so that I can perform the search for the open bracket, space open bracket, and perform a find all. So here we have our results. Clicking in the results pane, I'm going to perform a Control A, then a Control C to copy. Now I'm ready to go into a blank Excel document to maintain this text extract into the format we need. So I'm going to delete the first row, saving the second row for headers. I'm going to go back to my browser and I'm going to grab the document name at the end of my address line, and I'm going to paste that for each of these rows just to have content in that area. Now I'm ready to extract my data text to columns to separate column B into 3 columns. So it's delimited. First delimiter is a colon. That extracts my line numbers. Then I'm ready to perform it again to remove, extract my name. And then in this, we're doing an open bracket. And that's going to move our name and separate out the type. And finally, to clean up the last column, I'm going to remove the close bracket. Click Finish. And now I'm ready to give my field names, field header names, all right, and finally, I know that there's probably spaces in my name column, so to make my VLOOKUP and analysis work successfully, I need to remove any spaces. So I'm going to do a find and select replace. I'm going to type a space, and I'm going to replace with nothing. And that's going to do our space replacement. So now I'm ready to save this as either Excel or CSV. Okay, and now we have that ready. And we're going to go over to Global HR and get our latest master list. So I have searched for status of active, and I'm now ready to perform an extract to get a recent configuration list. And I'm going to put this in Excel, and I don't have more than 5,000 rows, so I'm exporting that list. And if you go over to your printer icon underneath your name, you'll then find the exported list that you can view. And this will automatically download to your downloads folder on your local drive, which we see here. And we can move that to our working folder. Here. And I'm going to rename it to be easier to work with. All right. Now I have my 2 documents for comparison. So I'm going to open up my master configuration list. And I already have my UI Delta list. And I'm going to rename these tabs so they correspond to the document. And do the same for my master configuration. And drag and drop the tab here. If you hold your left mouse, you can drag it from one document into the other. Lost my name. Now I have my Excel document that I can perform my comparison. So I want to add my new column, compare to January 2022. CU. You can name your heading whatever you would like. And I'm going to now perform the VLOOKUP, comparing the name column from our master configuration list to the Delta document in column C that also has a name list. All right, you're going to get hopefully several NAs, but you also may have some hits for overlap, and those are the ones we want to focus on. So if we exclude our NAs, we then will have our trimmed list that are only the configurations of forms and lists that we need to focus on for this month's CU. All right, that's Excel. If we want to do the same process using Access, we can open a blank Access database. We want to go to our same working folder. Create our blank database. It comes with an initial table that we're going to remove because we don't need it. And we're going to now pull in our two documents. Both of them are Excel. We're going to browse to our working folder and open up our master list. Oop, it's in use. Let's get out of it here. All right, and we are going to perform a next and make sure that we check first row contains column headings and click finish. Perform the same steps for our UI Delta document. And first row contains headers. And we're finishing that. We're going to rename it. Somehow it lost its name. So we can keep up with them. We're ready to create our simple wizard, simple query. And we're going to start with our master list and pull over the fields we want to see in the query. And once we have that, we're going to go back to the home view and leave the database sheet and go to design view so we can easily drag and drop our secondary table. And then if I do a left click on name of master configuration list to the name in the UI Delta, it will do an inner join on the name fields to look for matches. So if you double click on the line, you'll see the join properties. And in this case, we're joining the master configuration list to the UI Delta, and we're only including rows that are joined from both tables where they're equal. All right, and then finally, we want to add our UI Delta table and provide the name here so that we can see that comparison. So we're done with our query. We're able to run it. And as you can see here, we now have the same differences we produced with our Excel. So this concludes our demonstration part of the presentation. And I hope that helps you quickly determine what you may need to analyze within Infor's documentation. So again, if we wanted to do a search and we wanted to look for space bracket, we can come here and we can look at all the changes and see what's transpired. But if we want to only look at our, and here's an example of a brand new form. So if you have the form name with the bracket included and it's all green, that means this entire form is brand new. Otherwise, you can look for the specific form and be able to get to that LPL configuration in the UI document and determine if you need to apply the enhancements into your master configuration. So I want to thank everybody for going through the demonstration with me. And as always, this documentation as well as other blogs and videos are available on ROI's website under the Thought Leadership section. Thank you.